Hello my beautiful Odyssey, and welcome to this week's video where I'll be teaching you guys how to shade eyes, or at least how I shade eyes. Anyways, let's just get right into the video. Now, before I begin this tutorial, here's all the stuff I prepared. Obviously here I've got the line art for the eye, which I decided not to do a tutorial for drawing it because I struggle with drawing eyes normally, so on a tutorial I'll probably mess up even more. Yay. And I've also prepared the colors that I will use. I'm gonna be making blue eyes, so here's all my blue colors, which I chose the lightest shades and the darkest shades, as well as the one shade that I don't know specifically how you call it, but I use it to I don't know actually, like the reflective color, that's what its name is, isn't it? And here I've got the color shadings that I'm going to be using for the back of the eye, the white part of it. And yeah, let's begin with the tutorial now. Unfortunately, the voiceover keeps on canceling, so I had to speed up the original video. So this video is a little bit sped up, but I'll try to explain it as best as I can. So let's get right into that. So I obviously begin with adding a new layer underneath the line art layer and taking the base color and filling it in, as you can see here. And then I clip a new layer on top of the base color, and I use a second shading color, and I start off with making an arc, which takes me forever, but here it's sped up. And then after that I fill up the top part, and I make a little line inside the iris, kind of tracing it. And I make the pupil. And then I add these little lines, which you can always skip if you want. I just feel like it makes it look better. And that's like the first shading. Now we have to add a new layer, clip on, and we're gonna do the second shading. We're gonna use the next color, which I didn't use here, but I decided to do this all on different layers. But if you're like an intermediate, you can go ahead and do these all on one layer. But if you're not, then I recommend to follow along like this. And with the second shade color, I make another arc on top, and I fill it in once I'm happy with it. And then I add the pupil in. It's okay if your pupil's a little loppy, it's fine. Honestly, I feel like it just still looks really well, even if it is. And then I once again add the lines and all the little line in the iris thing. I don't know what to call it, I'm sorry. And I add the lines. Make sure not to put too much pressure, the lines will go too thick, unless you're doing it with the finger, of course. Then you don't have to worry about that. And then I get ready for the next layer by adding a new layer and clipping it, and getting the next shade and shading where I put the arc again. And I fill it once I'm happy with it. And then you add the pupil, the lines, and pretty much what you do previously, just a little different. And once again, it's okay if the pupil's lopsided. We're good, okay? And now the next shading is a little bit different. I didn't add a new layer. I did this on the same, but you can always go ahead and use a new layer. You use the last color, you add one arc, and this time you don't add any pupil. You fill in the arc though, and you don't add any lines unless you want to, of course. I just find that it looks a little bit better. And boom, you're done with all the shading pretty much. And then this is the little harder part. You add a new layer and you use the reflective color, and you change the brush to 30% opacity. And you'll see why in just a second. And then you have to draw a little circle, which you'll see once it starts, like right now, yes. Make sure it only covers the darkest area and nowhere else. As you can see, I'm redoing it because it keeps touching that area until I finally am happy with it, which takes a while. And boom, see? And you can't really do it, you have to make sure you do it in one stroke, because if you keep doing it, you're actually adding more opacity to that thing, which makes it darker and darker and darker, and we don't want that. And then you can change if you want, you can change the blending mode. I left it at normal, but you can change it to add or overlay if you really want to. And now you add a layer underneath all the shading layers and clip it. And you use the normal color and you grab the airbrush normal while changing the blending mode of the layer to add all the shiny stuff. You can also add it to any lighten category if you don't want to use add, that's totally fine. And here, as you can see, that's what I do now. And now I add a layer of, I'm showing all the layers it's taking so far. It's taking a lot, but obviously if you decide to do this on only like one, then that's totally cool. And then I add a layer above the line art layer, which I actually move it up there. And then I grab white to start making the highlights. The highlights don't have to be perfect circles. It's better, so if you're really bad at making circles, then this is like the job for you. And so here I add a few white, and then later I'll use a little bit of a light yellow and then put the opacity of the brush to 30% for the other lighting. And then I also use this pretty blue. You can just use plain white and lower the opacity, but I like to use different colors like blue and yellow because it just makes it a little bit nicer and it adds more depth to the eye. So here I'm using the yellow, and I just decide to put it like near the white areas while I put the blue pretty far away from the white areas. And so yeah, I just use the colors in the thing, and I change them up if I needed to. For the blue, I just grab the aqua that's already in the app. That's like preset for the app. And yeah. So now I actually have to do, now that we finished the actual pupil part, we're gonna do the white. So I add a layer underneath all those other layers, and then I get the white, and I also change the background to like clear so that you can see the white better. It's just easier. I recommend to do it. And then here I'm just coloring in, I'm filling it in. I don't usually fill out the entire thing all the way to the edge. I kind of leave a little bit of space, but if you don't want that, then you can always go ahead and fill it. And yes, so there. I added more white on that side because I felt like it was needed. And now for the shading, we're gonna clip a layer on top of the white, and we're gonna put it on multiply and pick out the purple color. And I decided to change it up because I didn't like that color. So you can, I used a purplish gray, and you can always use a bluish gray if you feel like that's better. Don't use gray because it's just not gonna look nice. But like if you completely want to, go ahead. And here I'm using pen fade to shade. I make it darker at the top and then lighter at the bottom, which you can see here. And then I add a new layer on top, and I clip it and I put it on overlay, and I use the orange color at the bottom just for like a reflective color like I did with the eyes. I just feel like it looks better. It makes it more 3D-ish. It just, yeah. And I blur it out, and then I change the layer opacities to about 15% for the orange layer, as you can see here, and for the purple I'll change it in a second to 75%. So yeah. And here I'm just fixing it all up by like adding colors where there's like little holes. As you can see, I'm just fixing all that up. And then lastly, before I did the last step, I kind of added this like nice background. Here I'm actually changing the opacity. I added the skin kind of background, and then I actually did the last step because I kind of forgot that the last step existed for a second. Oops. Where the last step is I clip a layer on top of the line art layer. And then I make sure to put the layer on add, and then I use an airbrush with the blue color to kind of like add some glow to the eyelashes. I just feel like it looks really nice. But you obviously don't have to do this. Like, let me repeat that again, because you just have this tutorial is just meant for you to like see some ideas and to kind of inspire you to create your own style. Here I put the blue in where the pupil is and where the bottom is, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you And yeah, so pretty much that's it. I just said that all over again because I messed up. Oops. Yeah, so I'm about to be finished with this, which is pretty cool. For those of you wondering, here's the original that I kind of forgot to record. It's on the left, and the one that on the right is the one I just did make today, and you can see that there's actually a difference. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys want any more tutorials, then please comment, like, and even subscribe if you're really interested. And don't forget to follow my Instagram. It's always linked down in the description. And while you're in the description, go ahead and watch some of my other videos that I'll have linked there. And join my Discord server so that you can suggest video ideas that I'll probably do. And yeah, I honestly had so much fun recording this, even though it was kind of a hassle considering voiceover didn't work for a long time and the video recording just didn't work. And yeah, bye!